I'll be sharing my slides now. Okay, is it visible?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
okay, so today we will learn about air. Okay, so in today's class we will see what is air, and so air, I think everyone knows, right? So air is what we breathe in, and in the air we have so many different types of gases, both which are essential as well as which are harmful for this one. Okay, suppose like oxygen, that is also very important for our daily survival. We need oxygen, yes or no? Every one of us, we cannot live without oxygen, so we need oxygen. So all those also from where we got it from the air. Then in the air also we have different types of forms of gases, be it your nitrogen oxide, be your sulfur dioxide. Okay, then this one carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. So all these together, they form the components of air. Okay, so air is actually, it is a part of man's environment. Okay, so and it is also the basic of all forms of life. Okay, especially for living being, we all require oxygen, okay, for our survival. So without oxygen we cannot survive, and it serves many functions apart from supplying and giving oxygens. And the main compositions of air, actually it contains the 78.1%, it contains nitrogen. Then oxygen, it is around 20.93%, and carbon dioxide is 0.03%. Okay, so total of this, it comes to 99.06%, and another remaining balance, it is made up of other gases. Okay, so the other another remaining balance, it is made up of gases such as argon, krypton, neon, xenon, helium. Okay, so all these actually, they occurs only in small traces, that means less than 1%. So this is actually what are the main composition of air. Okay, so in today's class, we will see what are the main factors which usually maintain the composition of the air. Okay, so the first one, what is the first one? It is the wind. Okay, so when what happens? So it is whatever, whenever the wind blows, or whenever, okay, you know that when it blows. Okay, so it what happened? It diluted the air, as well as it also helped in purifying or sweeping any form of impurities by its movement. Okay, and if you say the sunlight, obviously sunlight, what happened? Whenever it helps in cleaning or it disinfecting the air, it helps in killing any form of bacteria. That is the main reason why we always used to say, right, whenever we wash our clothes, we should always keep it and dry it in the sunlight, because sunlight, it actually helps in killing so many bacteria also. And if you see for the air, how does it help for the air? It helps in oxidizing any form of impurities, as well as it helps in killing any form of bacteria. Okay. So the next is rain. So rain also helps in cleansing the atmosphere by helping in removing if there is any suspended or if any form of gas impurities is there. All those also will be cleansed by the rain. Okay. Then plant life, the green plants, as you all know, I think you must have learned, even in your class 11, 12, we have learned about this one, how we have learned about the importance of chlorophyll, yes or no, in the plants, which helps in the chlorophyll, what does it help? Chlorophyll, do you remember chlorophyll, which is present
Yes,
in
ma'am. In the
plant? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. It helps in photosynthesis.
Yeah, photosynthesis, yes or no? It is a process where the plant take in carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. So this is also how it really, this actually our plant, they are the main source for oxygen production. That is the main reason why we always encourage everyone nowadays, right? We should always plant more trees in our surrounding, because plant, it also helps in keeping the, especially in eliminating any form of greenhouse effect, in the form of even in global warming and all, because the plants, they are the main source of our oxygen. Okay, so these are how, okay, so how these are some of the factors which maintains the composition of air. Okay, wind, sunlight, rain, and the plant life. Okay, so next we'll move on with a very important topic, that is on air pollution. Okay, so as you all know, even especially if you are living in the cities areas, because of the factories, because of the automobiles or the cars and all, so many different forms of poisonous gas is being emitted. Okay, So all these actually it encompasses and causes air pollution. Okay, and time by time, what happens if you keep on ingesting all these poisonous gases? Later on, you might develop so many form of respiratory problem. It can be your eye problem, heart problem. Okay, it can cause damage to the brain, and in some cases, okay, it can even cause cancer. So you can see like air pollution is a very vast this thing aspects which really influence our health. Okay, so that's why we should always try to keep our environment clean. We should try to keep the air clean. Okay, so the term air pollution is actually used when there is an excessive concentration of foreign matters, okay, in the outdoor atmosphere, which is very harmful to the man. When you see foreign matters, it mostly includes all your poisonous gases, like it can be your increased amount of carbon dioxide, increased amount of carbon monoxide. Okay, it can be in the form of some chemicals which produces gas. So all these, it encompasses your air pollution. Okay, so and if you compare air pollution, it's actually more in the urban areas compared to the rural areas. Okay, so in urban, because of overcrowding, because of the industries, so because of many people are using automobiles and all, right, vehicles and all. So that's the main reasons. Actually, automobiles, they are the main, if you see in the urban area, they are the main common causes of your air pollution. Okay. Okay, so next we will see what is the definition of air pollution. So it refers to the presence of foreign matters or substance such as smokes, okay, and harmful gases. Smokes mostly what happen when you burn any firewood, okay, or it also smokes, and also it can occur from any natural sources, like if there is any volcanic eruption. So that also you can produce smoke, okay. Harmful gases, especially your carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, okay, or sulfur dioxides. So these are very harmful gases which cause so many effects on human health, okay. Dust, then vapors and fine particles in the atmosphere, which are very harmful to human being, animals, vegetations, buildings, instruments. Okay, so this is actually what we call as air pollution. So whenever we say air pollution, that means whenever there is any form of foreign materials presence in the atmosphere. Okay, then what is an air pollutant? So an air pollutant is that substance which causes the air pollution or which pollutes the air. So an air pollutant, it can be a gas, it can be in a form of dust, it can be in a form of smoke, it can be any form of particles. Okay, so that is the meaning of the word air pollutants. Okay, so the classification or the sources of air pollution. Okay, so we have classified it based on the, okay, what are the main sources. So this, if the question comes on classification or sources, so you can write this one. Okay, so the first sources of air pollution is a household air pollution. Okay, so whenever we say household, that means it is within our, even in our home environment. Okay, because sometimes what happen when, if especially in some rural areas, they are still using firewood or charcoal, okay, for cooking and all. So that it actually produces a very huge amount of smoke. Okay, and also when we cook, okay, even if when we cook in, even in our home, when we fry something, okay, cooking in oil and all, so even that also it produces some form of gas. Okay, then when we clean, okay, dust, okay, whenever we clean our house and all, okay, some dust particles also, it usually uh, it also comes. Okay, then even this others, other gases also which can be seen in the household is like your sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides. Okay, so even from, if you are using in form of detergents, okay, there are some fumes which are being produced from the detergents. Then there are also some particulate or some particles which are produced from cosmetic, especially like all those, okay, body spray and all those, okay, they produce some form of particulates. Then if you are from the carpet, from the blanket, from the drugs, okay, so all these actually they produce different forms of air pollution. Okay, so when we say household, means these are the main one. Okay, so actually the main causes of air pollution in the household, if especially if you're using any firewood, or if you're using any form of charcoal for cooking, okay, that produces a huge amount of smoke or or air pollution. That's why we always advise the people to go for, okay, to go for at least this one, natural gas. Okay, so all this LPG gas and all those type, because it reduces the amount of air pollution. So the second source is the automobiles, like I've said. So the automobiles actually, especially the motor vehicles and all, So it produces a very high amount of this one smoke. So that is the main reason why we always, in order to reduce this air pollution caused by automobile, we always advise people to go for public transport. Okay, so if people start going with public transport, so the less amount of cars will be there on the road. Okay, so like that, the air pollution also will be controlled. And these actually what happens, so these automobiles, they usually emit hydrocarbons, carbon monoxides, lead, nitrogen oxides, and some other particulate matters, and all these are very harmful for our health. Okay, so they might cause us some form of this one, they might, time to time, if you keep on ingesting that air, you might, it might lead to so many different type of respiratory disease, like your bronchitis. Okay, it can cause even cancer and all. Okay, so this is the second main sources of air pollution. Then the third is the occupational health air pollution. Whenever we say occupational, it means it is related to the work setting, okay, where the individual work. Especially it has been seen, okay, in some industries like mining industries, okay. So these actually huge amount of air pollution is being produced from these industries, okay, like cement industry, then your mining industry. So these type of industries, they produce a very large amount of air pollution. For example, the workers working in the mines, they might have pneumoconiosis, which means a fibrosis of the lungs. Okay, so because why does it cause fibrosis of the lung? Because of the dust particles, okay, such as silicosis, asbestosis. So these are actually very harmful for the lung. So time to time, if the workers, they keep on exposing to that particular dust or to that particular particles, so they may develop this fibrosis of the lung. Okay, so the next is the community air pollution. So how air pollution is being emitted from the community area. Okay, so it can be in many forms. Suppose it can occur by burning, if you burn any fireworks, okay, coal or cow dung cakes, if you are preparing all those, it also can cause some form of air pollution. Decaying of plants and animals also, dust and refuse from the streets, then fields, industries around the community. So many, if you say in community, there are so many areas where lots of air pollution, it can cause so many form of air pollution. Okay, so next is the natural sources. So even naturally also, okay, so some form of air pollution is also being produced. For example, is the pollen grain from the plant and the flowers. Okay, then and especially after, if there is any volcanic eruption. So if you see, okay, immediately after any form of volcanic eruptions, so huge amount of gas is also, or ash is also being produced. Okay, so all those also, they cause some form of air pollution. Okay, then any form of dust from the fields, okay, agricultural fields and all. Then and in, and even surrounding the air also, we have so many, naturally we have so many airborne microorganisms, okay, which can also pollute the air. Okay, so these are actually what are the main classification or the sources of air pollution. Okay, so the household air pollution, automobiles air pollution, occupational, that means in the working areas, and the community air pollution, and the natural sources. Okay, so next we will see what are the effects of air pollution. So what happens if time to time by, okay, what happens, how does this air pollution affect the individual's health? Okay, and it has got so many effects. Like I've said, air pollution, it does not affect only the human being, it affects even the plants, it affects even the animals, the monuments. Okay, and so many other effects also it has been seen. Okay, so the first one, it says the effects on the human health. Okay, then next is the effects on the plants, effects on the soil, effects on the monuments and buildings, and the other effects of air pollution. So we'll see with one by one. So what does, in what, how much of, how does it affect, okay, on the human health? So first is respiratory disorders. Okay, so if you see, compared to the other parts or systems of the body, so the main system which really it is being affected by air pollution is your respiratory or the respiration. Okay, so what we can be see in the respiratory disorders, so because of the inhalation of some smoke or dust, it can cause irritation of the nose and throat. Okay, then it can also cause some form of respiratory damage, including bronchitis. So bronchitis, it means it is the inflammation of the bronchi. Okay, asthma also it can be seen, because in asthma what happened, there is a narrowing of the blood vessels. Okay, so because of that, the person will have all those sign and symptoms. Okay, so they will have shortness of breath and all those. Then emphysema. So if when we say emphysema, actually what happened, there is a destruction in the wall of the alveoli. Okay, alveoli is the air sac, okay, which helps in breathing. So whenever there is any destruction or damage of the air sac, so that also it will cause in breathing difficulty and all those kind of symptoms. Okay, so emphysema, usually what happens, it happens whenever a person it is exposed to a very long period of time to all those air pollutants. Okay, so whenever an individual is exposed for a very long period to any form of air pollutants, it causes your emphysema. Okay, so and the other, it can also cause some form of respiratory tract infections. Okay, so all these, like it can be acute respiratory infections and all those. So these are actually what are the effects which can be seen on the respiratory system. Okay, so the next is the heart problem. Okay, so what happened? Heart disorders such as heart attack, choking, or even death also can occurs because of carbon monoxide inhalation. Why does it happen? Because what happened whenever any individual, if they ingest carbon monoxide, okay, carbon monoxide, especially if you're using charcoal, okay, if you're burning charcoal, and especially if you're using it in an enclosed area, lots of carbon monoxide gas is being emitted. And these carbon monoxide, it causes decrease in the oxygen level in our body, okay, or in our blood. So because of that, it causes heart attack, okay, because, and it also causes constriction of the blood vessels. So obviously when the blood vessels constrict, what happens? So the blood flow to the heart also will be slow or will be less. So because of that, the person might develop heart attack. So that is the main reason why we always advise whenever you are burning any form of charcoal, okay, even in the home setting, especially during winter, since it's very cold. So people, they use this charcoal and all. So we should always open the door, the windows or ventilators, means the ventilation should be there. We should not keep it in a very enclosed area, because if you keep everything closed, so they might cause later on, okay, it might lead to carbon monoxide poisoning. That is the main reason some people, what happened because of that problem, because they don't they just burn the charcoal in a very enclosed area. Some of them, it can even result in death. Okay, uh, especially while sleeping and all. Okay, if they keep the charcoal, if they burn the charcoal, and if they are closing all the doors, windows, so it can even lead to death because of this carbon monoxide poisoning, we used to say. Okay, so the next is brain damage and the nervous breakdown. Okay, so hydrogen sulfide in the air, it also causes brain damage and nervous breakdown. And the lead, okay, which it can also cause some form of permanent damage to the brain, and it also affects the concentration ability, especially among the children. Okay, then irritation and hyperactivity in children. And the main lead sources of lead is your automobiles. Okay, so as you can see, okay, so these, it can, air pollution, it really affects the health of the individual. Okay, the next is the eye problem. So by continuously exposure to gas like nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, okay, ozone, etc. So these also can cause some form of eye irritation, conjunctivitis, or even blindness. Okay, the next is birth defects and stunted growth in children. Okay, so birth defects actually, it is actually related, especially if the mother is ingesting any form of tobacco, if she is a chronic smoker, okay, during the pregnancy period, especially if she is continuing smoking. Okay, so it might cause so many form of birth defects. That means the babies, when she is born, she will be having low birth weight. So whenever we say low birth weight, it is normally actually a child or a newborn when they are born. So normally the normal weight is it should not be less than 2.5 kg or 2500 gram. Okay, so whenever it is less than 2500 gram, we call it, or 2.5 kg, we call it as low birth weight. Okay, so because of continuously exposure of the pregnant woman or the mother to any form of this tobacco or smoking or vehicle, so all these actually may cause to some form of birth defects. Okay, like a low birth weight. Okay, so the particulate matters, okay, tobacco, smoke, and vehicle exhaust, it contains carbon monoxides, as I've said, carbon monoxide, it causes reduction in oxygen, as well as it causes constriction or narrowing of the blood vessels. Okay, so, and even benzene. Okay, so these actually, they can produce low birth weights with stunted growth. Okay. So the next is cancer. Okay, especially among the cancer, the most common one is the lung cancer. Okay, so even also we always tell it even to everyone also. Okay, so we should always wear masks. Okay, and we should always avoid smoking. Smoking is also one of the main causes of lung cancer. That is, I think everyone is aware, and this lung cancer usually what happens whenever a person ingests a very large amount of carbon particles, okay? It can be carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide and even benzene. So not only lung cancer actually, because of air pollution, even anemia, it can occur, blood cancer, okay? These can also occur because of hydrocarbons, okay? So that's what it says, not just smoking, air pollution also it is to blame for lung cancer, okay? So that's why we should always try to keep the environment and the air clean. So what are the next? So those are all the effects which can be seen on the health, okay? So it can be, the first is respiratory disorders, heart problems, brain damage and nervous breakdown, then eye problems, birth defects, cancer, okay? So those are all which affect on the health. So next we'll move on to the second one. What are the effects of air pollution on soils? So what happens whenever, because of the air pollutants, okay, in the soil, so it causes, it abrades, corrodes, and even tarnishes the soil. Okay, the soil, it loses its fertility because of the, because especially when the soil, whenever the air is polluted, okay, and all those pollutant, it will be mixed whenever it rains, right? So that rainwater, when it reaches the ground, especially if you remember, I have mentioned last time also in about acid rain, okay, so those are very harmful, okay? So acid rain is when this air, okay, when the rainwater gets mixed up with so many poisonous gases like nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide. So this, it produces acid rain. So this acid rain, it is very harmful, even for the monuments, for the building, as well as for the soils, plants and all, okay? It usually destroys everything. And even the soils also, with, because of that, it loses its soil fertility because of this acid rain or because of air pollution. So what are the effects on plants? So what happened because of air pollution, there can be disappearance of chlorophyll, as you can see from the field, okay, even in the image I have shown, okay? Then there is breakdown of the plant cells, then their premature leaf, okay, they used to fall down, okay? So these are some of the effects which can be seen on plants. The next is effects on the monuments and buildings. So even if you can see from the picture itself, okay, so much, we can see so much difference. Okay, so because of air pollution, what happened? Especially because of this acid rain, it causes so many destruction on the buildings. Okay, it causes, it might cause some form of discoloration of the building. Okay, it might cause some, even some damage, okay, or disruption of the building because of the air pollution. Then what are the other effects of air pollution? The first one is smoke. Okay, smoke. I think if everyone have remember, okay, this is especially very common during winter time. If you remember in Delhi every time, right? Because why it happened? Because in Delhi they have, the air pollution is very high. So because of that, it really affects. So whenever this smoke, it is mixed with this fog, okay, it is called as a smog. Okay, so this actually what happens. So what does it contains? It contains usually sulfur dioxides, carbon monoxides, and some form of nitrous oxides. And this is also very harmful. And because of this, what happened? It is really very difficult, okay? And it becomes difficult for driving. It becomes everything, okay? So the second effect is the greenhouse effect and the ozone depletion. So whenever we say greenhouse effects, actually, what is that? So normally, do you know about greenhouse effect? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Any idea?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that greenhouse effect? Every time we used to say, right now, even now also, when we talk about environment, we always talk about greenhouse effect. Actually, what happened in greenhouse effect, actually that is a normal process, okay? In the greenhouse effect, what happened? So it is a natural process actually which warms the earth surface. So as you can see, even from the diagram, so some form of sunlight, it will reach the earth, but some of it, it will be absorbed in the earth atmosphere. Because of that absorption, it keeps the earth environment warm, okay? And some of it might be reflected back outside of the earth atmosphere. But nowadays what we can see is, because of this human activities, especially if you burn for any form of fuels like coal, oil, okay, and even any form of agriculture, and if you keep automobiles and all. So because of this, what happens? So the concentration of these gases, it becomes more in the environment. So instead of reflecting outside of the Earth's atmosphere, it keeps on staying inside our Earth environment. So because of that, it causes this greenhouse effect, okay? And so many this poisonous gas, they are still being captured or observed inside our environment. And because of that, we have all this global warming condition and all those. Okay, that is called as a greenhouse effect. Okay, so in greenhouse effect, what happened is that whenever any solar radiation, what happened? It will pass to the atmosphere, into the Earth atmosphere. But what happens? Some of it, it will be absorbed, okay, by the Earth surface. But naturally, okay, that is natural process. Okay, because of that, it helps in maintaining. It helps in the Earth to have a warm atmosphere. No, but what happens? Some of it will be reflected back. Some of the solar radiation will be reflected. But now, because of the increase in all this air pollution and all, okay, so the number of greenhouse gases, it becomes very more. That means that greenhouse gases which is produced, it's becoming more and more. And because of that, it causes all those global warming. And ozone depletion also, I think everyone is aware of. Ozone is a very important layer, okay, in the atmosphere, which helps in the absorptions of all those UV radiations and all. Okay, so these UV radiation, actually, they are very harmful for human being. Okay, it can cause sunburn, it can cause even cancer, skin cancer and all. So that's why our ozone layer is very important. So nowadays, because of, as you can see, because of increase in the amount of air pollution everywhere, so the ozone layer is becoming thinner and thinner. Okay, and this, it is a really very risk. Okay, it is actually is a very risk for everyone. Okay, because if the ozone layer becomes depleted, then all of us will be exposed to so many UV radiation, and many people will be having skin cancer and all those various forms. Okay, so these are actually what are the other effects of air pollution. Okay, other than that, it is the acid rain. Okay, I think I have mentioned you about the acid rain. So acid rain, actually what happened? So the pollutants such as the sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, or any hydrocarbons. So what happened? Whenever they combine with the air moisture and the water, they form the acid rain. And this acid rain, actually, it is very harmful. Okay, it can cause it can pollute the air, it can cause it can also destroy the soils, water, and it can reduces the growth of crops and fishes, and it can even destroy the plants and all also. Okay, destroying the building. Okay, it causes also respiratory problem like asthma, bronchitis, emphysema. Okay, so these are some of the effects, other effects of air pollution. Okay, so in air pollution, remember, we have the effect on health, effect on soil, okay, plants, monuments and buildings, and the other effects. Okay, so till now everyone is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so I think for today I will wind up here. So in the next class, we will see with what are the sources and the effects of major air pollutants. Major air pollutants, okay, it can be your ozone, okay, carbon monoxide, because repeatedly also I have mentioned about carbon monoxide, yes, then your nitrogen dioxide, okay, any other particulate matters, then your sulfur dioxide, okay, then some other toxic air pollutants. So all this we will discuss in the next class, okay? And also we will see how can we monitor air pollution, then what are the methods and ways how we can prevent and control this air pollution, okay? So everyone is clear in regarding the what are the sources and the effects of air pollution? Any question? Yes? Air pollution, water pollution, these are very important, okay? These are very important topic. So like I've said, water pollution I didn't discuss because this already somebody will discuss in the seminars. So that's why today directly I have started with air pollution, okay? Okay, so anyhow, so if you have any doubt, you can ask me, okay, in the next class. Okay, I will stop now. Okay, so
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah, please send
Thank
me
you.
class attendance. Okay, okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.